Clay.
The best.
Time.
Not what it seems.
Community.
Also not what it seems.
Nature.
What it seems.
Future.
Hopeful.
Question mark?
I hope there's a future.
What I love about Erin is that she refuses the performance. She's the kind of person who'll tell you that most artists who you think are making a living off their work are actually not. That the art market feels like a lottery, and that the first time she finally had studio time to herself, no day job, no nonprofit, no juggling, she sat down at 9 in the morning and was sobbing by 11. We talked about what it cost her to arrive at a place she'd worked so hard to get to over a decade, and why it didn't feel like what she expected. What she does with artistic blocks and how she navigated nerve damage from making too many wall ceramics, a crisis of purpose that kept cycling back every other year. Why October 7th made it nearly impossible to keep performing the motions of an art career. Her great-great-grandfather, too, an ecclesiastical woodcarver who did the interior of the Rockefeller Chapel, and what it means to be photographing his devotional sculptures with her own, in the same house, decades later. Money, caregiving, what it means to make small, tender work for a biennial that rewards scale. Here is my conversation with Erin Jane Nelson.
Yeah, tonight is the second one.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. I feel like it went by really fast. I thought I was gonna feel like very slow, and then all of a sudden I was like, okay, I guess I'm done. But
I heard different things. Like some artists were saying that they were told to not be there for install.
Oh yeah, no, I was like, can I come for install? Because it's all new work, and I don't like the process of doing the exhibition design was very.
We're talking about the Whitney Biennial right now.
Yeah. The exhibition design, like I got renderings, but before the work was even fully finished.
Oh, wow.
So it was like renderings based on half-finished snapshots from my studio, which I was like, I can't spatially understand how these things are actually going to look on this platform that you're building.
Right.
And then I think, no offense to Drew, but I got like the most sort of like uninspired video. It was like the worst angle for the work or something. Like I get what he was trying to send me was like, here's things up close.
Right.
But I saw the video and I was like, I guess my work is going to be just like the worst in the show. And then I got there in person. I was like, oh, it actually looks great.
It looks
was just
really
a
good.
Weird video. Oh, thank you. I guess I didn't see you last night. But
I know. I came on the later side and then was kind of racing through. I didn't even get to see everything, but I was like, if I don't see Erin's work, this is a fail. So
well, thank you.
Made sure that I saw that. And I think it's the first time I've seen this body of work of yours where you're using pinhole cameras in your sculptures.
Yeah, it's like first time I've shown it in New York.
Yeah. You showed it in Chicago.
I showed it in Chicago, and when I made it for Chicago, it was like I had been postponing a show for like 6 months, and they were finally like, no, you can't. You have to just make new work. And I had been going through such a bad period of artistic block, and really didn't know what I was going to make for the show. So I came to New York just because I was like, if I see some art, this is when I was still living in Atlanta, maybe I'll have some inspiration. And I ended up not really wanting to go see visual art, and I just went to the Natural History Museum.
Oh, nice.
And just had this like, I don't know, I felt like as someone who's been kind of told that I make environmental art, I was like, the fossils and rocks are kind of cooler than anything I could make, you know? And so I was like lying in bed that night, I couldn't sleep, and then I was like thinking, I was like, why do I even try to make pictures of the earth or like renderings of the earth when it just like does it on its own?
Sure.
And I was sort of like, and then had the idea that like clay is this earth material and could be used to fashion cameras that sort of like dictate the terms of its own imaging. So it's like the earth photographing itself or clay photographing itself.
That's wild. That's
Yeah.
like not, that would never have been the first place my mind goes. So that's
It's all
amazing.
good, yeah. It was like a combination of that and then also just feeling burnt out and artistic block and then wanting to make something new and smaller. And like, I think that I was fantasizing about going back to the thing that I fell in love with art with, which was like being a teenager and making like shoebox pinhole cameras.
Yeah.
So it was a combination of both of those, like.
So that was like an early experience with just like making things.
Mm-hmm. That was like
that's
the
cool.
first art I made, pretty much.
No
I mean,
kidding.
as like a teenager.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was like pinhole cameras. My high school was like built in the 70s and they still had a dark room when I was there.
Wow.
So that was like Art 101, you made pinhole cameras.
It's so funny that like these little contingencies of our histories
I know.
like determine so much.
I know.
Like
I know.
Bill Gates had like one of the first computers and
Yeah.
just had a little bit of a leg up. Of course, also there's other things that went along
Right,
with that.
right.
But like having that experience of just having a dark room and what that means for
Totally.
your like whole artistic existence now.
Yeah, and just like photography being so available to me as like an art form, whereas I feel like for a lot of kids, it's more like, here, paint, here, draw.
Right.
But I think also just the time that I was growing up, like in the early 2000s, there was a lot of still like romanticism of the darkroom photograph. Like I think I can think of a lot of like teenage movies where like the female main character is like this moody photographer
100%.
who's like in the darkroom. So I
Yeah.
think it was just like the cool thing to do or something.
Yeah. Yeah. You already, moody lighting is built in.
Right. Yeah.
And like you're making art. You're artsy.
Yeah, and there was that like Robin Williams horror film, like 24-Hour Photo, where like
Oh my God.
there was just a lot of like photo in pop culture in that way.
I actually never, that movie, like just the trailer creeped me out too much. I never saw it.
Same.
Really?
But I think I thought about it a lot because I was like, this is like now I realize that people are looking at all these like rolls of film that I'm processing.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
I mean, part of your practice in general is like you have this archive of photos from like God knows way back.
When I was a
Like
teenager.
your whole life.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I'd even like, I had some pinhole photos that I'd used in some of the wall ceramics before I started making this work. And they were like pinhole photos I'd made at like 15 or 16. And I was like, those still kind of hold up.
That's
like,
crazy.
I'm into that, yeah.
It's like two polar opposites. I feel like it's hard to have access to a ceramic kiln. And then you can also just like make a camera wherever you are.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's interesting. You know, I was talking to someone last night at the opening who was kind of describing that they also know someone who does like photography and ceramics, and they like couldn't understand the relationship between these two mediums, and they feel so obvious to me. Like they're both alchemical. They both have this like process of change that happens in a space we can't see, whether it's like in development or in the kiln. They both are relegated to these like other forms of art outside of fine art or high art.
True.
And they both are like so much a part of our daily lives, like things that we touch and know intimately in a way that like maybe, I don't know, sculpture, painting, less so.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like one feels quote unquote contemporary and one feels ancient, maybe.
Yeah.
And that also just feels like a really beautiful pairing.
Yeah.
But seeing those works, I mean, they always feel like little creatures. Yeah. Like even when they're on the wall, I mean, those don't have the cameras in them, but like it's always felt like everything is about sort of ecosystems, like things that kind of come together and mutate, grow, change.
Yeah.
It's always like a shifting experience from what I've seen of like all of your work.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the hope. I never like set out to be a person who makes little guys, but somehow they just always become little guys. And I think that like makes them kind of like empathetic and strange and kind of dejected in these ways that I think pure abstract forms can have as well, but it's harder for me to access that. And also I just have the problem where I start making something abstract and I'm like, oh, it's a rabbit. Oh, it's a flower. Like I start to see the form emerge like a cloud and I can't like unsee
you
it.
you lean into it.
Yeah.
I mean, so you document the show that you had, or that's the name of the gallery in Chicago, but you said you had a major block before that.
Yeah. I mean, it was funny. I was thinking about kind of sort of the nature of this podcast and like some of the questions that you guys were thinking about. And I was trying to like pinpoint one of those moments of like rupture and collapse. And I think the cameras were sort of like the end of what ended up being like a 2.5 year period of like basically falling apart and trying to like put things back together, but like in a very quiet, like I think on paper, like good things were still happening. Like I got a Guggenheim, I was having shows, I was in fairs, things kind of sold in the way that my work always kind of sells. But I think internally I was having this real like crisis of purpose. And I think it actually started when I like started to do art full time, whatever that means. So I had like was never famous, but famously someone who had a lot of jobs. Like I worked in my 20s. Like
yeah, you had a gallery.
I ran there was one point where I was running an artist run space. I was showing, I think I had 2 solo shows in 1 year and was working full time as a curatorial assistant at the museum.
Jesus.
And it was just like,
that's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. And then while I was making everything for the new museum, I was running a nonprofit during the pandemic. And it just felt like I was always juggling too many identities.
You were running Burnaway in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, I ran Burnaway for just under 3 years. And it was actually, once the new museum show happened, I had kind of saved up enough to like strike out on not having a 9 to 5 for the first time since I was 20 years old and graduated school, basically. And I thought it was going to be this like total arrival and it was going to feel amazing and it was going to be everything I worked so hard for like the last 12 years. And the first day, and my studio was in my house at the time. I remember I just like drank my coffee and like went to the studio. It was like 9 a.m. And I sat down. I felt really weird. And like within 2 hours, I was sobbing. Just like, this doesn't feel any different. I'm still the same person. And I'm like not totally sure this is actually what I want to be, like in a quiet, cold garage by myself for 40, 50 hours a week.
Yeah. It's so weird though. It's like that feeling of finally having this solitude in the studio, especially for some, because I think we're similar in this regard of like having many things that we like doing that's not just for us, but like for larger communities.
Facilitating.
Yeah. Then when you bracket that and like make more time for yourself, you're like, what the fuck did I do? Like, what am I supposed to do here?
I also, I've been thinking about this. I told you kind of beforehand, but I'm working on my first like monograph and a very small kind of like survey show about sort of like this 10-year period of living and working in the South and kind of trying to, it felt like such a it felt like it went by so fast. So I'm trying to really process it and understand it now that I'm in New Mexico and have a little bit of distance from it. And definitely thinking about like, like when did it feel good to be sort of like working? When did it feel good to be sort of like doing my own work? And one of the central questions of the book is like, the book and the project are both called Living and Working, which is like the famous so-and-so is an artist living and working, as though those things are like not inextricably tied in a way. Like someone would like clock in LA and then like actually live in New York or something. I know that that's actually probably more common than I think it is.
I don't know. Like, and also the format, it always is that, but it's not, I've never seen it so disparately matched. It's not like I have seen lives in LA, works in Ohio.
Right. Yeah, and I think a lot of artists actually do like go travel to make their work other places. I mean, especially photographers or filmmakers or things like that. But it was always this funny formulation to me that like we have to distinguish that this person both lives and works. Right. And I've always like one of my favorite songs I like put on like once a week in the studio is Sade's like When Am I Gonna Make a Living, which I feel like is just such a good like anthem for any artist who's like trying to figure out how to exist in the world. Oh my God, yeah. And so I really wanted to like kind of reference that song and that feeling of just like, where is the line between labor and living, and are those things actually separated at all, or is it all just kind of one miasma? But yeah, I basically ended up having a nervous breakdown after like a couple of months of being in the studio
by myself.
But it led to a really good process of just kind of like figuring out what was actually important to me and sort of regrouping and acknowledging that I need a little bit of rest and I didn't actually have to be sort of.
Yeah, I mean, because you're also coming off of so many exhibitions that you were doing with all these other things in tandem, and then finally you get a moment to kind of have your own space and
Yeah.
like I don't know, those are the moments where I think a lot of things can get processed, and maybe that processing just means grieving a little bit or just letting out all the things that have piled up over that time. Because, like, I'm sure the time before that wasn't easy.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like you're kind of, it's that thing of inertia where like you're just going and you kind of keep going, but then once you change the like velocity or something, it all of a sudden feels really intense. But I think for me, it was like this moment of arrival or this big, New York survey show or whatever felt like, okay, the next step is to try to be an art star. And like, if I'm not going to uproot and like move myself to New York or LA or London, like I have to really hustle. I really have to put myself out there. And that
Right.
was honestly the last thing I wanted to do. I just wanted to like hide. And there were so many friendships in Atlanta I had neglected. We were just coming out of the pandemic and I just wanted like friends and I wanted to kind of like explore and like go get a drink on a Tuesday night, which felt like impossible with everything I had on my plate
Right.
beforehand.
Did you actively pursue trying to be kind of an art star or whatever version of it you had?
I don't think I would even know. I think for me, it was like that was so contingent on being somewhere where you could actually like schmooze with people.
Uh-huh.
And so it felt like that is what I should be doing, but I was in the suburbs of Atlanta. So, like, what does that even look like in a way? So I think I just had feelings seeing all of my peers kind of like being in these centers and sort of, I mean, like, compare and despair is like the worst thing you can do, right?
It's so
And
easy.
these, like, anytime there's these kind of survey shows, like a handful of people get kind of picked and then have this really big moment. And I think going into that show, I had already had a lot of visibility. So it wasn't, I don't think that there was, I mean, things could have popped off, but even if it had, I don't think I would have been emotionally, physically ready for it.
Yeah.
And I,
Was like you have, I mean, were your galleries also trying to like position things or try to see if there could be a different arc?
the galleries, I think, were very supportive in the sense that they're like, okay, you're like living off your art now. We'll try to give you more art fairs, which is where galleries sell a lot of work, especially if you're not someone who has wait lists for shows before they open.
Right.
But I think the kind of double-edged sword of that was that I was then making all of this dream work that I had more time to think about for a fair. So I'd make something
Right.
that I loved, and I was like, had been dreaming about for a long time, and then it would be on view for 3 days, and then it would disappear in someone's storage in Brazil, like never to be seen again. And I think I just got to a place where I was like, that's not actually the most rewarding way to make art. I mean,
No.
like, duh, but I mean, even like a check that kind of pays your rent, it's like at a certain point, you start to miss the work or like not be able to live with it in that kind of way.
It does foreground the relationships that actually matter about even just the production of work. Because I think we have in our head this idea that like if you are able to make money off of your work, it creates an ecosystem for you that you can do all the things that you need to do. But it's actually
Yeah.
really just like, okay, so you have this energy, but if you don't have an ecosystem in which you can pour that energy back into, it really doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's also like, I think I'm just anxious about money and supporting myself and like, not being I don't know, like the South is already so like no one really invests in the South. There's like not good collectors, there's not good infrastructure, there's not good day jobs. Like it's just a very, very under-resourced region. And if things kind of fall apart, it's like kind of hard to piece back a way to make a living down there.
Uh-huh.
And so I think I would just see the bank account go down and it's like it's tempting to go make a weird experimental film that like maybe would be sort of well received, but like would drain the bank account and then
Yeah,
I'd have
what
nothing
then?
at the end.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I think that my anxiety about just survival started to really get in the way of being able to make the work. And I was fortunate to get a Guggenheim during this time because otherwise I would have been like, and this is also the moment where the art market went from being like red hot
To
to
garbage.
nothing, garbage. Yeah. So I like picked kind of the best and worst moment to stop working a day job. But Yeah, I mean, I just got really burnt out. I gave myself nerve damage from making too much work and had to get surgery.
What?
Yeah, I was just like making those wall ceramics was so labor intensive and like fine motor skills.
Uh-huh.
And I would go to the doctor and say, I have this pain, I have this pain. You know, they don't really listen to you. They like do an x-ray. And then I finally was able to get a nerve study and I completely like compressed and frayed some
Your
of the
nerve
nerves
endings.
in my shoulder and wrist and had to
Oh
get like a
my
carpal tunnel release. And
fuck.
yeah.
Holy
So
shit.
I think my body kind of told me like, even if you can sort of like hustle your way through all these feelings and hustle your way through um, trying to make this work, like it's just not good for you in the long term.
Yeah, your body just shut down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So surgery, recovery, I'm assuming,
Hmm.
and then that is this a period where you get pause to think about how you want to be?
Well, it's interesting. I think at the beginning of 2024, which is right before I got diagnosed and needed to get the surgery, a few things happened. One, I was having that creative block and needed to make this show.
Hmm.
Two, after sort of like producing a ton of new work for both galleries for Art Basel Miami and things kind of selling, but that was like the first Basel where people were like, oh no. Yeah. Like you know, I wasn't like
What year is this now?
2023, end of 23.
23. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It started to cool off around then.
Yeah.
And I I was just like, I don't want to make the wall ceramics anymore. Like I've made probably 100 of these over the last 8 years, which like maybe not 100, maybe like 60. But they all have
That's
these
such a
different.
big difference. 60
Yeah,
and
no, I know,
100.
I know, I know. I should probably actually count and fact check myself. But like they all have these different components. I just felt like I had exhausted all the things I wanted to try with them,
Hmm.
but there was still this sense that, oh, well, that's what there's a market for, so you should keep making them so that we can fill this market. But then there would be more produced and less market and more produced and less market. And it also wasn't really, I mean, I still love those works. They kind of feel like a I've come back to them since, but I kind of started 2024 in a lot of nerve pain, really big creative block, and telling the galleries I don't want to make this kind of work
Wallworks.
anymore. Yeah. Um, and then I had kind of the idea for the cameras, was really excited, started working on them in earnest. And then my grandfather had this like massive brain bleed and was like rushed to the hospital at
Oh
the age of
God.
89 and had to get emergency brain surgery. And so I dropped everything and like flew out there the day that it happened. And it kind of became clear that they needed someone around more
Right.
full time, which is when I made the decision to move to New Mexico. So all these things kind of collided.
Wow.
The slowdown of the kind of demand and fervor for the wall ceramics. I was still getting show invitations, but it wasn't like the crazy kind of. I'd been sort of hiding out and like
Right.
falling apart, and like making things that I liked, but that I wasn't like pushing. You know, that I wasn't like
Yeah.
desperate to get out there.
But there's also, I feel like there's a moment in a lot of young artists' careers or like quote unquote emerging
Right.
artist careers where all of a sudden you're in like every group show of that summer or like
Yeah.
you'll see like 1 to 2 years where there's this jump in group shows
Yeah.
and like you're
Then there's no
wanted
group
in all over
shows.
the world. And then it just like
Yeah.
evaporates
Yeah.
and it feels like you have to reckon with
The
the
other
next
thing that
step.
feels important to mark in this is that like this is right after October 7th, 2023. And I think for me, it was just like watching the art world politically implode around this issue
Yeah.
and just like this incredible silencing when there was such like genocidal violence happening.
Yeah.
I couldn't. It became very hard for me to perform like I'm going to make the things for the art fairs and like put myself out there. I mean, just to kind of underscore, like it's not just these personal life forces. I do think like politically, it's always been an emergency, but particularly in that moment, it felt like so chaotically violent and
Yeah.
and so uniquely throwing into relief the difference of sort of political positions, class positions in the art world. In
You
a
could
way like
really
never
see like
before.
I feel like a lot of times the water feels calm and so you don't see the
Yeah.
sludge.
Yeah.
And that turned up all the sludge, and it was just like, oh, I didn't realize we were living in this water. Like, I didn't realize
Yeah.
this is how bad it was.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, it's, you know, it's tough because I'm Jewish and I have a lot of family and ancestors with like all kind. I mean, my Jewish family is more Russian Jews who came over before World War II, so it's a different
Okay.
diaspora. But you know, I think there's a lot of pressure from Jewish institutions to like toe the line when it
Sure.
comes to Israel. And I was involved in Jewish life. I belonged to a synagogue and was one of the only kind of openly pro-Palestine. There was a small contingent of us, and this was like the liberal queer temple in Atlanta. And they were trying to recruit new and younger members. And I remember there was a little contingent of us trying to speak up, and it just totally got shut down. And
Yeah,
it
and
was very
especially in
sad
that
for me
the
from like a
beginning
faith
moments, it was
perspective
hard.
too. Yeah, yeah,
I can't imagine, like, because it's a different thing to, it's your own community.
yeah.
It's like you see something else and you feel something else.
Yeah, and like to be clear, I think that there are a lot of Ashkenazi Jews that don't necessarily have that maybe are from like a Russian diaspora or their family came over. Like they don't have as much tie to Israel. So I think it was just, and my family was they assimilated in the South. So they were very like, we're not Jewish. Don't look at us. So I was kind of the only practicing Jew in the family.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
My grandma was, and she passed about a year and a half ago.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Yeah. And I think it just became this like, I had been thinking about spirituality and thinking about, you know, ancestors. And I don't know, it just felt like it was just a real dark time. And there wasn't as much, I mean, there is a JVP in Atlanta, but it was a much smaller community than maybe here in New York.
Can you tell me what JVP stands for?
Jewish Voices for Peace.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like maybe this is painting with too broad strokes, but most of the time when I see your work, I do get a sense of the spiritual. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's extremely foregrounded, and other times it feels more ambient. But like that particular show, I think it was your first show at Chapter.
Yeah.
That
It was
show
all about
stands
Jewish
out.
spirituality. Yeah.
I loved that show.
Thanks.
Like
Yeah.
the scale was the scale was unexpected, especially for like the shoebox of that specific gallery.
Yeah.
And like it was very overwhelming. Like the just tapping into specific mystical traditions that felt largely women led, and it didn't have this sense of like work that I've seen that can sometimes fall into cliche where it's like it's about like ecology and feminism and it's like all these buzzwords and there's nothing wrong with those words or what they stand
people
for.
love to use those words with my work too. I mean, it's great because you get put in those like museum shows or whatever, but there's
But
always
this felt
more.
so much weirder and
Yeah.
like it felt truer to what that spirit would actually mean and look like.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know what your kind of spiritual tradition was growing up, but I think I was from parents who were just sort of like, organized religion? What? Like, you have any interest in kind of why we exist and why we're here and who we belong to and where we come from and what morals we have? I mean, my dad was Jewish but grew up in the South, and I think during a time that was much more anti-Semitic, and his family was they assimilated. They didn't want to be the one Jewish family in the small town in Kentucky.
Yeah. And they had a daughter. Like they want to make sure you're safe too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was my dad's family. Like his parents were
got
like,
it. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then my mom's side of the family, her parents were professors, and they were like staunchly, like just
No
completely
God.
atheist. And so I feel like, but I grew up in the South, which is so religious. Like my town, like everyone was like, what church do you go to? I remember going to like Catholic mass with one of my friends, or the Baptist. Like I would just go with my friends on Sunday to be like, what is this? And I think that there's like, when you're not given any kind of avenue for spiritual expression as a very young person, it creates this like immense curiosity. And for me, it's also just like this question of like, who do I come from? Like, what did we once believe? What do we believe now? Why don't we believe what we did anymore? And it's interesting because now I'm taking care of my grandparents, which is the other side of my family. And they were German Catholics.
Oh, wow.
And I've been making work kind of about my great-great-grandfather who was an ecclesiastical woodcarver.
Whoa.
Yeah, so he did like the interior of like the Rockefeller Chapel at University of Chicago and all these.
Whoa.
Yeah, he was like, a really big deal. He like brought this kind of ancient European form of wood carving, devotional wood carving to the U.S. He's like one of the people who really like
Oh,
popularized it.
this is in your
It's in my blood.
bone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's funny because he took care of my grandfather, and my grandfather was a child because he had a single mom as well, and she had tuberculosis, so she went into a sanatorium.
Damn.
And so, as I've been taking care of my grandfather as he has dementia and is very childlike, I
Mhm.
feel like I have this connection to my great great grandfather. Like he
Right.
took care of my grandfather at this side of his life, and now I'm at the other end taking care of him,
Wow.
which has been intense. And then also living in New Mexico, he was kind of the primary inheritor of all my great great grandfather Alois Lang, all of his estate and materials and studies. So the house I'm living in just has all these little like wood carvings of studies for angels, basically.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've been photographing his sculptures with my sculptures and really kind of just thinking about like using a natural material to make these kind of devotional objects, which feels a lot like the work with the clay.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's a little bit of that in the new work with the cameras. If you see any kind of weird busts or angels, that's,
I noticed some wings here and there.
yeah.
Um, the way that you talk about photography is interesting to me because, like, you don't say capture an image, it's like
No.
gather,
Yeah, well, I think I can't like, there's no viewfinder in these cameras. Like, you
right?
kind of just have to put the object down on the ground and let it do its thing in a
Hmm.
way. And I think I've always had this relationship to photography where the kind of myth of the decisive moment and that whole like history I think is very interesting. I love street photography and that was always like my sweet spot as a younger person. But personally, my relationship to photography is a lot more about just like how we live with images and how
Hmm.
images kind of fall into our lives and how images like tell stories of the past and what it means to like maintain your own images and carry photographs with you, both as physical objects and digital files. Um, but yeah, I think, in photography has always had these associations with the spiritual, with like, there was spirit photography.
Right.
Many people saw it as like capturing the soul. And so I like to lean into those aspects of the medium.
Yeah, and I don't think you shy away from, you're not a Luddite about this. It's not like
No,
you eschew technology or anything. Like it's
no.
very much a part of the work, and like even just compressing files and understanding your digital archive is still all a part of this. So it feels like there's a broader way to understand what images can mean for us.
Yeah, and I think that there's, I've always been interested in kind of this strange infrastructure that enables us to have kind of digital images. So,
Hmm.
I mean, there's bodies of work that I made, like Psychopompopolis was all about like fiber optic cables and like transmission of information across those cables.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I think I'm interested in kind of material reality, but like certainly that the way that that has been completely reshaped by technology and
Right.
contemporary life.
It feels like, I mean, even thinking about gathering, it's like there's always a sense of how you how you create space for things, materials, or people to gather.
Yeah.
And like that's what's does it feel like you want to go back into a space where you are either teaching or, I
Mm.
mean, of course, you're a mentor with New Crits,
Yeah.
but outside of that, are you like,
What am I doing?
what are you doing?
Well, I take care of my grandparents, which is quite a lot of
That's
work.
a lot of work. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a lot of work that also, they're in assisted living, which I'm very fortunate
I
that we're
just
able.
noticed your
Oh yeah,
nails.
I went all out. I
They
have
look awesome.
thanks.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'll tag my New Mexico nail lady in the
Oh, hell
comments.
yeah.
She's great. Um, so taking care of them is a lot of work, but not because I'm like literally physically moving their bodies, which I think is a big part of elder care. They're in an assisted living facility,
Okay.
but I'm totally like managing all of their affairs. And, I think as you age, little things feel really big. So my
Yeah.
grandma will call me and be sort of like frantic that she needs to go to the eye doctor to get her glasses. So it's just a lot of being available
Right.
for the emotional roller coaster of being 92, 91 and having dementia and yeah. driving them around and things like that. And I've been very, I love it. It's like so behind the scenes. I do grant writing for nonprofits, and it's a friend of mine started a nonprofit consulting firm in Atlanta
Oh, wow.
that mostly works with Atlanta-based nonprofits across different areas, but it's just freelance grant writing, and it's so great because I like know that world, but it's not, and I care and I want to like fund meaningful organizations, but it's not the kind of taxing being the face of an organization. I just kind of come in, help them write a few grants, put together some strategy, and then kind of
Get out of there.
yeah,
Huh.
it's very flexible. So it's a good way to make money. And then I mean, sometimes art sells. My husband and I have also done like these kind of stoner pottery pieces for almost a decade now, called Enchanted Life Goods.
Very nice.
Yeah, so we occasionally will like do a drop. We do drops on Instagram, and we'll
Oh,
sell a
cool.
bunch of like mugs and that's
Yeah,
a,
yeah,
yeah.
I've seen those. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. So those are kind of the weird things I do for money. And
And
yeah,
yeah, Jason, your husband, is also an artist.
he is. Yeah. And he did a really smart thing where like we both applied to and got rejected from grad school. And we decided to move to Atlanta. He decided after his experience of applying to just go get like coding degree or
Oh,
like a
crazy.
boot camp. So he did like one of those
Yeah.
6 months programs, and it was like the right time where he
Yeah,
got
yeah.
in, and now
It's like fully subsidized and
yeah, like I think he paid for what would conceivably be like 1 semester of grad school to get this certification, and now makes good money. I mean, until AI like makes him obsolete in like the next year. So, but like,
but then we all have bigger problems.
yeah, for sure. No,
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate to like, and I mean, just to kind of put out there, like a lot of art. I mean, having a spouse who's able to like have health insurance and like have steady income so that you know the bills are going to be paid every month is like
Right.
such a gift and a privilege. And no, I'm very grateful for that for sure.
That's amazing. No, the artist Matt Sheridan Smith, um, he was showing a whole lot back in the day, like I want to say early 2000s. And then I think he got a little disillusioned for a number of different reasons. He's an overthinker for sure. And he did exactly that. He
Yeah.
did the New York program, like boot camp.
Yeah.
And it seemed really hard. Like it's not an easy thing to do either.
No, I mean, Jason's a little autistic, so it's like perfect for him. He's like, I don't have to talk to people. It's just like basically puzzle solving and like learning this sort of other language. I mean, he doesn't love, like, he doesn't have any passion for code or anything like that.
Sure,
But he's
sure.
like, as a trade, and maybe like, but I think he's not, I think a lot of artists try to find a trade like that suits
Yeah.
their other
And yeah,
qualities.
it suited Matt as well.
Yeah.
Like he was already doing that kind of work, and
Right.
so it like made perfect sense. And then yeah, he had a steady job, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden, like if he wanted to dip his toes back in, it became available.
Yeah.
Then it was just a matter of like balancing how much time you give yourself to, I don't know, to be creative, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's useful, and I think like, I mean, one thing I just try to say every time I have any kind of microphone is that like any artist who you see who like you think is living off of their art, I would say like at least 90% of the time it's something else.
100% agree.
Yeah. Like I think that it has to be like the 2% of the people that you see who are living off their art, it's actually consistent art sales, and their bank account consistently has money
Yeah.
from the sales of art. It's mostly just a performance that we do to make it look like we're living off of our art, when
Yeah.
actually it's like family, or in my case, like a spouse who's able to make sure that like our bill is paid and we have health insurance. It's like,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I think it's just important to say that because no one told me this as
Yeah.
like when I was in art school, and at Cooper Union, it was like gauche to talk about money. Like no one talked about how we were supposed to fucking make a living after leaving school. It was like you
Exactly.
go to ISP, you go to Yale, you become a professor. Like those were the respectable paths.
Right.
And there was no instruction on like how to make it work.
And
at
it
all.
doesn't I think people thought that adjunct is just like another step towards tenure. And like it so rarely is. It's almost as exclusive as being an artist who can pay their bills. And it's really crazy that you would go to grad school thinking, oh well, I'll be able to teach and make a living. that's not going to happen.
No, and I think the other thing is that like a lot of the people who I know who are incredible professors who get those kind of dean level, tenure track full time, there's some who are also amazing artists who get to show regularly and really show up for their practice.
Right.
A lot of them, have to give up so much of themselves to make the career in teaching.
Yeah.
That it's like they put a decade, 2 decades into that, and then maybe a lot of those doors have closed for showing art or being part of the art world in that more
Yeah, it's a
familiar
different,
way.
you have to change your ecosystem again.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, now let's retool the engine
Right.
and like get it like revved up again. Because like it makes me think of John Kessler, who is my professor at Columbia. And John came up with like Christopher Wool and Jeff Koons and that whole crew. And he was showing as much as any of them.
Wow.
And like at every major gallery, like he was on the covers, all, you name it. And then he became the dean at Columbia.
Wow.
And he really, really cares about his students and like about making that school work. And John really transformed that program. And like, I would say it was during his tenure that everybody wanted to go to Columbia.
Yeah.
And, but he had almost no career in that juncture. And it was about almost 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now he's getting back out of it and like is starting to show again. He had a show, like he's had a show at a few places, Salon 94 and Magenta Plains most recently. But
interesting.
Yeah, that was an interesting move.
I love when that happens.
I liked that too. Yeah. But it does take to call it a sacrifice is like you're putting things in different buckets.
Yeah, and I think, there's just this huge problem in our industry where like I always want to talk about how people are making a living, how people are like making this possible. I'm always like, how? And I think, how does it work? And I think that there's a lot of artists who get cagey about it because they don't want to disclose whatever
that their parents are helping.
Right.
My parents helped me.
Yeah. I mean,
I've had routine help when I couldn't put it together.
For sure. I mean, I have the fortune, like I would be like totally screwed if I wasn't living in my grandparents' house without paying rent right now. Like I can't afford the city of Santa Fe, let alone New York City. So
it's expensive, right?
It's crazy expensive. Yeah, it's like that Aspen kind of ski town vibe.
Would you ever move to like LA or New York?
I'd love to. Jason never will.
Really?
Yeah, he doesn't like cities. I got a little overstimulated being here for the first time. Like usually I'm like, it's so nice to be back. I like to come for like a month if I can get away. It's been harder the last couple of years.
But like what if you were like in Flushing or like a suburb of New York or something?
I think it's just like I cannot imagine how I'd possibly afford that.
Right.
I think it's much easier to like leave a place like this and then convert that like New York income into living somewhere cheaper. It's much harder to convert an Atlanta career and income.
But how did you make that work? Like as an artist just starting off, like it's not easy to start showing at major galleries and then be in the New Museum Triennial when you don't live in New York.
I don't know.
How does it work?
I think, I'm so fortunate that I grew up in the internet age. I think if I didn't have the internet, like both as kind of a portal in, just to like see what was happening and as a way to kind of signal like, hi, I would have not had like if I was myself in like the 80s, I would not have a career. Because I was
myself in the
80s. Yeah. But honestly, I think it was really like I was lucky to meet the right people at the right time and the wrong people at the right time. So
interesting.
Yeah, I think like, I will all know who I'm talking about because everyone like
knows everybody.
But like I had my first New York show with someone who doesn't have a gallery here anymore, but had like kind of a well-respected program. And I was, I think like 25 or 26 when I had Dylan, that like first show that I did in New York, where like the ground had herbs on it. And I had showed the quilts for the first time. And people were like really stoked on the work, and I kind of just like rode that way. I was living in Oakland at the time. But it was like very clear to me that I was like working with the wrong person. And
what signaled that to you?
We were from totally different social classes. We had a completely different. I love the everyday. Like, I love regular people. Like, I'm not trying to speak in a vaunted art world language. Like, I can do that. I read theory. Like, I can do the spiel if you need me to. But, like, I prefer to talk to people in, like, a more human way. And I think that there was a positioning of my artwork as kind of part of this, like, post-internet moment, which, like, I think is definitely part of the work. But, like, fundamentally, I think that movement was, like, pretty anti-feminist in a lot of ways. And, like, the women who did well in that kind of leaned into, like, self-objectification in a way that I think is part of the history of feminist art, but, like, was never going to be me as an artist.
Right.
And I think I was never wanting to just make work about computers and the internet and, like, the digital image. So it was, like, always going to change and morph and shift. I mean, like, I was making quilts because I care about craft too, and, like, that those worlds kind of don't really touch that much. And it just felt like I think that this person was really smart, and I think had a good eye, and I think had good reads on, like, who I should or shouldn't do shows with and things like that. But there was just kind of this kind of, like, urban discernment and, like, you see it here in New York where people are just like, oh.
Yeah, you could
like,
tell what he wanted to
up.
leave out.
Yeah. And it didn't feel like a great, like, we couldn't really talk about life or anything. You know, we never, like, really leveled, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you kind of can't build so much trust if you can't do that with the people that are representing you.
Completely.
And it kind of got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm leaving I applied to law school. I got into law school. Have I not told you about this?
No.
Oh my God. So this was like after Trump, I was like, I have to use my brain for good. I cannot just, like, be an idiot who makes art anymore. Like, classic, you know, like, white savior 20-something-year-old shit. Like, I was just like, I gotta go fix this. And so
Erin's on it.
I'm on it. I was not on it. I studied for the LSAT. I sat for the LSAT. I applied. I got a full ride to George Washington.
No way. Wow.
I deferred for a year and never ended up going. But so the messed up thing is I basically had made this decision. I was studying for the
Good Will
LSAT.
Hunting over here.
I know. I sat for the LSAT. You turn off your phone. I got out of the test, I turned on my phone, and there was the invitation to be in that first show at the Whitney that I was in 2018.
Oh my God.
And I was like, universe, I was almost out. And you know what kind of law I wanted to go into?
What?
AI and intellectual property.
Oh my God.
I'd be so fucking rich right now.
You really would.
I know. It's so stupid.
I'm a little bummed.
I know. I'd be such a cool collector too.
Oh God.
Yeah. It was, but the Whitney dangled the carrot, and I was like, I'll never forgive myself if I don't, like, see this through.
No, I'm glad you did.
Yeah. And so I left that gallery that was not a good fit. This was also when all the artists left en masse in a very public way.
Oh, wow.
If you remember that drama.
I'm actually, like, I don't remember where this first show was, so I am trying to figure it out.
It was Alex Ross's old gallery, Hester.
I do remember.
Yeah.
I do remember. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
I was in a show with Tao Lewis and Sojourner Truth Parsons, and I think we all kind of had our own relationships that we were very sensitive people, and I think it was, like, challenging. And yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I have, like, no animosity towards either of them. I think, like, what Tara's program has become is really cool. And, it just, like, wasn't a fit, right?
No. It's not a fit.
Yeah. So I left that gallery. I had the Whitney show coming up. I probably left in kind of a fucked up way where I was like, can I just see the Whitney work for condition before it ships? And then I was like, okay, I'm leaving the gallery, bye. So I knew it wasn't in their inventory anymore.
Well, because there's so many, like, I wouldn't even say that that's fucked up. I think that that's protective.
Yeah.
Because there are situations where artists are, like,
have to consign through the gallery even if they're not. Yeah.
Exactly. And then I'm not saying that Alex would have done this, but there are many, many other galleries that have held artist works hostage.
I've heard that's what scared. I'd heard about that, and so
Yeah.
that's what kind of scared me into being shady. I don't like to be shady as a person, but
Again, I refuse shady. I
okay,
don't.
cool. Okay, great.
I think
I'll
it's
take it.
you have to stand up for your own, and you
Yeah.
have to advocate for yourself, because who else is going
No,
to?
for sure. Especially I was like 28 and a woman, and living in Atlanta. Like you kind of have to
It's
be.
not gonna, like there's whether you like it or not, there are predatory motivations, even if they're not conscious motivations.
Totally. Yes.
Like I don't
Yeah.
think there's people out there that are like
I'm going to be
trying
shady,
to
but they feel like
destroy you.
I've supported this artist. I've put a lot of money and time, and I totally get that.
Exactly.
Like, I get both sides of that.
Yeah,
And
they have their own fears and anxieties about
Yeah.
how they're going to pay their bills. So
Totally.
like I do understand that. Not that I'm
Totally.
like picketing for landlords or anything, but like
for sure.
it's
Yeah.
you get what I mean.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess all to say is that like it was a very lucky timing with like things had kind of ebbed a little bit. I was on the brink of going to law school, and then like shout out to Margaret Cross and Elizabeth Sherman for inviting me to that show.
Wow.
And at the opening, they introduced me to Nicole from Chapter, and it was also just amazing. Like, I mean, the Whitney gets a lot of shit, but like every curator I've worked with from there is just like such a kind and generous and trust. Like, I was a very young person who hadn't done a lot of institutional shows, and I proposed I was going to show the textile works that I was kind of more known for. And I was like, you know what? I've been wanting to make these wall ceramics. I've never made them before, but like, could I make these for the show? Totally new medium, totally new body of work. And they were like, okay,
I don't know if curators would necessarily do that right now.
maybe. I mean, Drew and Marcella kind of, I mean, they knew I was making stuff within this body of work, but
Right.
like, they kind of were just like, this sounds great. We trust you. There was a lot of trust, and
That's a great
maybe
place to
undeserved, but like,
No, I think I
yeah.
think you've shown up more than
Thank
enough
you.
times to
Thanks. Be
deserve
trustworthy.
the trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, had a good experience doing that show, and a lot of amazing things came from there. And I think that was kind of like the ramp up to the new museum before I had my like crisis of purpose. And
Wow.
but yeah,
It was actually John Kessler who I first told about, like, I had a crisis of purpose back in
I also met you at that
2018.
opening.
Yeah.
That's
Oh my
where we
God.
met for the first time.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I
that
I didn't put that together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. Just reminded me of that.
And it was there was like this particular ascent, there was like things on my checklist that I really wanted. I wanted to show at 47 Canal. That happened. I wanted to be in Greater New York. That happened. I wanted to be in the Whitney Biennial. That happened. And then I wanted a gallery overseas. And that happened.
Wow.
And it was after doing my first show at the gallery in Germany that like my 10-year relationship ended.
Oh my God.
And yeah, it just felt like I didn't know why I was doing this. Like it just felt like the
Yeah.
same shit. And like it's I mean the first show that I did in Germany was like about white supremacy, and not about, but like it was heavily laden with just like that atmosphere and like the
Yeah.
4chan, 8chan world of like what was happening in that
Yeah.
particular moment, of which we're seeing all of that like
The,
out in the open.
Illogical conclusion. Yeah.
Exactly. But like 2018, it was just like below like a thin layer of oil.
It's like kind of cringe to talk about identity politics back
Yeah.
then. Yeah.
And they were supportive.
Yeah.
And let me do my thing. And like it was almost beneficial that it wasn't in America.
Yeah.
And then it was just crickets. Like they didn't sell a goddamn thing. And
Yeah.
and so I was in debt to the gallery. And I was just like, I don't know, what am I doing? Like,
Yeah.
what is this? Like
Yeah.
that relationship at in that particular moment, a part of that was like, I hadn't seen my partner that much just because I was working all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wasn't present fully
Yeah.
for a long time, thinking that eventually this is going to pay off.
Right.
And it'll all make sense. And then the more things that happen, like, yeah, it feels good in the moment. And like walking down a red carpet with like one of the people from Girls behind you is like exciting for like a minute. And then you're like, this is all dumb shit. Like this is all reasonably meaningless
Yeah.
things that the things that I ended up carrying are just like, I don't know, the closer relationships and like the things that like just stay with you.
Right.
And some of those things are like art world things. It's not like it's all like,
not all bad.
It's not all bad and it's not all
I mean,
nothing.
the work is always worthwhile. Like making the work always,
Yeah.
to me, feels good. It's like when the work has to leave the studio and exist in the world where you're like, oh, God, this sucks. Like, I don't know.
All it takes is just like one good conversation and I'm like back.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I'm buoyant. I'm pretty buoyant.
Yeah.
And like that, I didn't think I was going to make art. I was like starting to think like, okay, maybe I should think about other things, and also had a block and like finally started making things again. Like I found this like broken dog on the sidewalk.
Toy dog.
Yeah. I maybe it was like a lawn ornament or something, because it was a really hard plastic. It was a golden retriever, and its snout had been ripped off, and so it was just like this broken plastic molding. Its leg was broken but still attached, so it was just this harmed creature.
Dude, it's so funny the things that like I like saw a fossil and you saw like a piece of dog trash. And like it changes everything.
It really, I was like, I need to put that in my car.
Yeah.
And I had it in my studio for the longest time, and then it just became this emblem. And that was like the first artwork that started to make sense. We had these little bracelets that my ex and I had made for one another, and they both said who has who, and it was like this cute thing that we would say to each other, like who has who.
Wow.
You has me has you.
Wow.
And she left hers when she moved out. And
that's dark.
I was like, damn, that is kind of gutting.
Yeah.
And like hers is a little smaller than mine. And so I just put that on the broken snout of the dog, and then it started to take shape from there. Because like then the phrase also started to feel more like, oh, there's like something very possessive about this too. It's just opened up. The show is called Possessions, however you want to take that. And I told John about this whole rediscovery of self. And without skipping a beat, the first thing he said to me was, I'm sorry to break this to you, Ajay, but this is not going to be the last time that happens.
The heartbreak?
The existential crisis.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I hadn't been through that crisis before.
Oh, yeah.
So I was just excited to be through it. And I was like, Jesus, John, like, give me a fucking minute to enjoy it. But I am glad he said it, because it did feel like, get ready for the spiral. It's not like it's stagnancy, but we all are going to experience many moments of crisis.
I have it like every other year. I really do.
Where are you right now? Like, do you feel like you're closer? Does it feel like more breakthrough or more burnout right now?
Right now, I'm really happy. When the work for the Whitney got picked up, I was in a really bad place. Mm-hmm. Now that it's here and I've seen it and I've gotten to see friends, and, you know, I also, just to say, I mean, the work isn't like small or diminutive or anything like that, but when you do these kinds of shows, there's this pressure to make something like massive and immersive and like take the New York art world by storm, like whatever the fuck. And I think that even like during the process, I was proposing a few things that were like a bit more like installation-y. Uh-huh. And Drew and Marcel were like, you know what, just keep doing what you've been doing. Like, it's good. Like, keep doing what you've been doing.
I love that.
And I think I had to really be just like, yeah, I'm making kind of small, really personal, really like tender, weird little work right now. And like, that's what's going to be my presence in the biennial. It's not, I mean, and there's some like the Pat Alesco inflated, like there's some cool giant biennial art in this show.
There are some good things.
Yeah, is stellar. And, you know, I think I've seen a lot of friends make those kinds of huge overtures and then just kind of, you know, take off. And I think just accepting, like, where I'm at with everything and the scale that the work needs to be and the fact that it feels really human, like, it made me feel so tender when it got picked up, where I was like, it's never going to be enough. It's never going to be enough. But right now I kind of feel like, no, I'm glad. Like, I'm in the hole. Like, I hope I make back some of the I had to kind of scale back my day job stuff. And, you know, I was talking to I won't out them, but I was talking to an artist at there's an artist opening that happens the night before the show opens, or 2 nights. And they were like, yeah, I was supposed to call unemployment today. Like, I think it's crazy because you see all these artists and you're like, oh, they're in the Times, they're having their picture taken. And like most of us are like negative in our bank account right now. And
Yeah,
like doing the same level of investment, personal, energy, financial, that like any artist would for this kind of show. But it's
sure.
like a moment where there's no market
Yeah.
and the economy is kind of crappy. So it's like there's no guarantee that we'll even make that back. It's just kind of a debt that will slowly, hopefully, pay off.
Yeah.
And I think there's times where like that mismatch between a kind of interest in the work and a market for the work makes me
Hmm.
feel so bad about myself. Like I take it so personally sometimes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Still, even now,
Mostly just because I like don't want to be broke. But
that
I've
makes
gotten a
sense.
lot better at personal finance, which like my most recent crisis of purpose was like I should start like financial planning and advice
Oh my God.
business for
We
artists.
should have we should get a sponsor
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
like is financial planning for artists.
Yeah, I've gotten really into like personal finance and even just like I think that you're basically just told to like put everything on credit cards and spend down to zero in your bank account and like put all and
Who
even
told you
if
this?
I don't people who probably have family money. I don't know like like,
That's terrible
I
advice.
know it's terrible advice. I don't do that anymore. Now I'm like this is what I have. I'm
Yeah,
gonna have a savings. I'm gonna put X amount of dollars away every month. Like trying to be more diligent about things. But when you're young, you're sort of like it's like
caution to the
rolling the
wind.
dice.
Yeah,
Like who knows? You could not put yourself in all the way and miss out on like selling out it's just like dumb kid logic.
it's true, but
Yeah.
it still feels like it applies because there are times when it does pay off.
Yeah.
And so there's this lotto mentality of
Yeah.
like, that could be me.
Yeah.
And like you just get so you like Jones for that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
like, I mean, to his credit, my gallerist has always said like, make the work you can afford to make.
Yeah.
And that's like, if like,
That's amazing. That's rare for well, also the galleries are like we don't want to pay for the difference, probably.
he's like, money's always been very clear.
Yeah.
Like, first show at 47, he was like, this is our first show with you. So, it's better that you're like, that we don't pay for anything because that establishes a relationship where you're not in debt to us. And like, frankly, if you're not happy with how things go, you can walk away.
Yeah. That's smart.
Because in my head, I was like, oh, they don't want to help. And this is a test.
Yeah.
And I guess that means that they are not sure about me. And I got so self-conscious. And then Oliver like sat me down. He's like, it has nothing to do with that. It
Yeah.
has everything to do with like, this is how you should start any relationship with any gallery,
Yes.
even if this
Yeah.
doesn't work with,
Yes.
with us. And it was really good advice. And like,
Yeah.
even now, 13 years later, I asked, I actually didn't even take that advice. I didn't take that advice for my first show at the German gallery. Like,
Well, good.
I had
Cash in on the
them.
Germans. They like get money from the government to make art. Like
Yeah,
take
and
their money.
honestly, the way that all went down, like we don't work together anymore.
Yeah.
And like the way that went down,
No regrets.
no regrets.
Good.
Like
Good.
they'll figure
I mean,
it
the
out.
other
They'll be
thing that's
fine.
like really hard with that too is I feel like artists yap, and I think a lot of artists will be like, "Yeah, my gallery only gave me 10K for production. My gallery, like, there's so much like backhanded flexing or like you're bitching about something, but you're actually like flexing that someone just handed you this like blank check. It's so I mean, even like working on the biennial, like you hear about certain artists being treated a certain way by their
Right.
galleries, and it's like I've been doing this for long enough now that you want to get that kind of like princess treatment, and I love both my galleries. They're like great, but I think it's like we've been working together for a long time, and they don't need to like.
There's nothing to prove.
There's nothing to prove. It's
Yeah.
just like and like they show up in other kinds of ways that
Yeah.
are really important to me.
Yeah. Like
And
if things get done and if there's
Yes.
transparency
yes,
and like just a quality of
Yeah.
like boundaries in a relationship, I think that's as much as you can ask for in those. These are business relationships. These people are not your
And
family.
you're so right that like if someone gives you, $20,000 and hosts a $10,000 dinner on your behalf, it's like the expectation behind that, like you're locked in.
Yeah, you better come through.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if that would be good for me. I like to keep it neat.
I think there's like other kinds of expectations that we can have for ourselves as opposed to ones in which we have to meet this new fiduciary duty that we had no like
they
that's
didn't
not
consent
top of
to.
mind, you
Yeah,
know?
for sure, for sure. Yeah, and I think it's just like there's this fantasy of what galleries can and should be doing for their artists, and we just see more and more galleries closing every day, and I think just like being more collegial, like, and again, I'm not sticking up for landlords. I think there's few galleries that are like landlord level of scummy, but
For sure.
yeah, I mean it's tough to negotiate those relationships and to make sure that no one feels taken advantage of.
Yeah. And yeah, because it is like, yeah, agreed about the landlord thing, but I do think that people have it in their heads that like you start a gallery and you make tons of money off of artists and like
You're just
way to go. Like
yeah.
look at you exploiting artists. And it's
Yeah.
like you try it.
Yeah, seriously.
It's I would never in my life start a
Mm-mm.
gallery. For one, working with artists, I know what that's like.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's hard. It's
I mean,
very
I love
hard.
artists, but
I love
they're
artists.
hard.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
And like wrangling egos and trying to understand how to best serve people, it's that is a service.
Yeah.
And you are investing into people in a way where it's like that return is not guaranteed
Right.
whatsoever. And that
Yeah.
is why galleries close.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, cool. Well, then like you put all this time and energy and it's gone.
Yeah.
Everything is gone.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know. I feel like people don't see the other side, and maybe sometimes they just don't want to because it's too much of a burden on them to be like, oh, now I got to think about them too. Like,
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm curious, like, if you've talked to artists in New York whose galleries have closed and like how they're doing and
well, I mean, a wonderful success story is Kamru's Rum,
oh yeah.
because Kamru's has been. I don't know. I think there was another gallery as well, but he showed back in the day. I met Commerce when I was an undergrad at
Oh
Columbia,
wow.
and he was in grad school at Columbia. And he immediately started showing at Perry Rubenstein, which was a pretty major gallery back then, was doing very
Never even
well.
heard of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like they were showing major artists. I think Jules de Balancourt, a handful
Oh
of
wow.
people showed there back then. And Perry went under. Commerce didn't have a gallery. Commerce's work changed. Nobody wanted to show it. And he was just shit out of luck for a while.
Yeah.
And then, like, my God, I'm fast forwarding a lot.
Yeah.
Then he signed with JTT.
Oh gosh.
And right before he had his show, the gallery closed. So he had made a whole new body of work that he didn't get to show. And then it was just back into this whole thing. And then Alexander Gray, like now he has a show there. I think it's being wonderfully received. I mean, it's a beautiful show.
Yeah.
And he's in the Whitney.
Biennial,
And it doesn't always happen that way, but it's like, it is one of those stories where like he was just like, I just keep going to places that close. Like, I just don't know what to do.
It's hard.
Yeah. It's not easy.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I also imagine like if you're a painter, like galleries probably have a certain expectation around what they can do with your work that might not apply for other mediums.
Completely.
And so I can see how potentially you would be brought in to maybe try to right the ship to like sell out a painting show, right? It's so much easier than selling out a weird conceptual sculpture show.
Completely.
And God, it sucks.
Yeah.
I feel for that. Whereas, like, with me, I don't think, like, a new gallery has hit me up for a studio in, like, years. I'm like, they're like, just good luck.
You're
God
doing
bless.
great.
I know, I have no complaints. I have no complaints, but...
I also feel like all these galleries just see it and they're like, oh, yeah, she's fine. We don't have to, like, good... Like, I like the work from over here.
Yeah,
like,
that's great. Yeah. I've never... I mean, it's funny, I'm, like, out west now. I've never shown in LA, like, a solo show.
Oh, wow.
Never even really had a studio visit with an LA gallery.
All right, LA galleries.
Yeah.
Come on.
Hit me up.
Let's figure this out.
And overseas, I had like conversations going with a couple of European galleries.
I am actually
before
surprised
the pandemic.
that
All dead. The pandemic killed. Like I had a show on the books in Paris. Like,
Wow.
And totally dead. And I haven't been able to pick those conversations back up.
Right.
And I think the framing around the work became so much more localized and ecological and like related to the U.S. and which I think the work has always aware of where it's made and the kind of social context of that, but I think there's plenty of
it's not chained to that conversation though.
Not at all. And there's a lot more. I mean, there's always, I try to put a lot of different kinds of conversations into the work around, just like.
But also, I think that also makes it difficult sometimes for galleries because they want sometimes an access point of like, oh, okay, I see where this fits. Yeah. And again, I'm not saying that this is always a conscious thing, but like when you can make a certain kind of sense out of it and say, oh, okay, so it makes like we can position it in this art historical context, whatever, it does become easier to get a foothold in those places.
Yeah, and I think it's like I don't think I'm necessarily, I hear all these horror stories about the mid-career slump or whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe that's around the corner for me, I don't know. But like I can imagine that there's not a lot of spaces in Europe right now who are like, yeah, let's crate and ship a bunch of ceramics.
Yeah, shipping is just completely insane right now.
Yeah.
Camera.
Obscura.
Clay.
The best.
Time.
Not what it seems.
Community.
Also not what it seems.
Nature.
What it seems.
Future.
Hopeful. I hope.
Question mark.
I hope there's a future.
Erin, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, you're a good talker.
I love to yap.
You're good. There's like a focus. You know the assignment.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's helpful. So I appreciate you just being honest and very open.
Yeah, I was like, I got it. Like, there's some things I probably should. I'm too bad. Like, I overshare. So that was like, I'm going to keep some stuff in my pocket, but I think I shared enough to like.
You shared a lot. It was,
okay,
it was great. Good. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. Yeah, this was fun.
Burnout is a New Crits podcast, hosted by Ajay Kurian and edited by Peter Groppe. Thanks to Need to Know Studios, our brilliant guests and listeners, Mary Akpa, Elvira Horvai, Tara Douglas, and Jasmine Amani. Follow us at New Crits on Apple Podcasts, Substack, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok for the latest updates on Spent. And thank you for spending time with us.